Hello, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to show you a step-by-step process on how to build this amazing sales dashboard in Microsoft Excel. So by the end of this video, you will be able to develop this amazing sales performance dashboard on your own. So right now, let us see what is happening on the dashboard. So when you come here, we are representing our total sales and then the total cost by each year. So we have 2014 through to 2017. So this is what is happening. So by just looking on the chart, it will be very difficult for you to uh, understand what is happening, right? So when you click on the recommendation here, right, when you click on this one, you get a drop down saying sales and cost are both increasing steadily. However, the sales growth rate, that is what 16%, is higher than the cost rate, leading to what improved profitability. So what we are saying is that yes, sales is growing, but then it is growing what steadily. So whilst sales is growing, our total cost is also what's growing. So if this is the case, we are recommending to management that management should continue scaling sales efforts, right? Whilst monitoring cost efficiency to maximize margin. So whatever that management is doing to increase our sales, they should, focus on that one and then see if they can or they will be able to add another, or extra things to the programs or the advertisement or whatever that they are doing to increase the sales. But then we are also cautioning them, or we are also making it clear to them that okay, whilst focusing on the sales, you should also pay attention to our cost, because whilst our revenue is growing, our total cost is also what's growing, right? So we shouldn't only pay attention to the sales, rather we should also pay attention to what the cost, so that we will get a balance between the two. So when you click here, you will see that the uh, recommendation and then the explanation will be hidden, right? Perfect. So that is what is happening here. So we have our slices. We have our slices here. We have our slices here. Perfect. So when you come here, management wants to know the day that they are making more profits, right? Management wants to know the day that they are making more profit. So from Sunday to Saturday, which of the days are they making more sales, right? So when you check here, we are representing, or we've highlighted 2 days, right? We are saying that we recorded the highest sales from the two highlighted days. So it is representing what 41%. So when you click on a different filter, you see the days will be what changing, right? The days will be changing. Perfect. And then when you come here to, we are trying to show management the total sales by what product subcategory. So we have about 20 subcategories in our data, in our raw data. So here we are only showing five at a glance, right? We are only showing five at a glance. So if management or whoever is using the dashboard wants to get more, insights about the remaining uh, categories, subcategories, they can just click on the button here. They can just click on the button here, and then they will be able to, get more insights about the data, right, or about the subcategory uh, products. Perfect. And then we can also filter our dashboard by what the year. So you see 2016, this is what 2017, this is 2014. And then we can also filter by what month. So in 2016 June, this is what is happening, right? In 2016 September, this is what is happening, right? Perfect. So this dashboard is very, very dynamic. It is very, very dynamic. So assuming you are done with your analysis and then you want to clear all the filters, you just have to click on clear filters, and then all the filters that you have selected will be cleared. Do you see that? Yes. So this is the dashboard that we are going to go through together. I believe that by the end of this tutorial, you'll be able to uh, understand how to use Microsoft Excel to solve a real world problem. So I'll leave the data sets or the raw data that we used in this tutorial in the comment section or in the description area. So just download the data. It is free, 100% free. Download the data so that we will go through this process together. Right. So go ahead and then download the files that we use in this tutorials, right? So we have the sales data, that's the Excel workbook, the dashboard request, and then the icons. So before we start with the analysis, let's check these files out. So when you open the icons, you will see all the icons that we used in the tutorials. So just make sure you check, you download the files in the description area. It is 100% free, right? It is 100% free. So let's check the requirements, the problem that the business is facing, right? All right. Perfect. So now, this is a letter from our sales department requesting for sales performance dashboard. So it says, Dear Sir, management is seeking a clear and insightful report to better understand the company's sales performance over the years and support strategic decision making. So kindly open the attached folder and then use the provided data set to develop a comprehensive sales performance dashboard. So these are the key areas that management wants you to focus on. So management wants you to focus on the key performance indicators, the sales over time, the sales by weekday, sales and then total cost by each year, and then weekday versus weekend sales analysis, right? So management is saying we should ensure that the dashboard or the report is very clear, concise, and then visually engaging for easy understanding. And then thank you. Best regards from what the sales department. So this is exactly or similar thing that you are going to letter that you are going to receive whenever you are working in a real world, whenever you are working in a real world. So let's just open the file Excel workbook that we are going to use so that we start with the analysis. But before we continue, please, if this is your first time watching my video, please subscribe to the video, subscribe to my channel, like, and then share the video so that we will go together. So your subscription and then your likes will motivate me to do more research and then bring you the quality video that you want. So check that out. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Let's move on. All right, so go ahead and then open the sales data workbook, right? Go ahead and then open the sales data workbook. Go ahead and open the sales data workbook. Now, this is the sales data workbook that we are going to work with. So before that, let me bring my ribbon so that you see what I'm trying to say. I've intentionally hidden uh, the formula bar, so don't worry. We are going to turn it on and off, right? All right. So now, before we start with the analysis, the first thing that we have to do is make sure we understand the data that has been provided to us, right? Yes. The first thing is you have to understand the data and then think or put yourself in management uh, shoes, or put yourself as or see yourself as the business owner, right? You see yourself as the business owner, so you ask yourself, if I'm the business owner, what are some of the things that I'll be interested in, right? Yes. So the data is going to help us answer all these questions. So first of all, we have our row ID. We have what's the order ID. So what I always prefer to do is I just select anywhere in my data, Control Shift L, Control Shift L, and then the filter buttons here will be activated for me, and I will be able to see what the data that we have in each of the columns, right? So something like the ship mode, when I click on the drop down here, you see we have four ship modes, right? We have four shipping modes. So we have the first class, the same day, second class, and then what, the standard class, right? So these are what the shipping mode, the mode that we use to ship the product to our customers, right? And then this one too, when you check here, you see the various cities that our customers are what ordering for our product. Yes, so this is how it is here. You can also check the state, then the postal code, the region. So we have four regions: central, east, south, and north, west. We have four regions. You can check the category. You have three categories: furniture, office supplies, and what, technology. We have sub categories. We have what, product names. Then we have what, all the measures here. So in this tutorial, you'll be hearing me say measure and then dimension. Measure and dimension. So a measure is what, whenever you hear me say measure, I'm referring to what, the values in the data, right? I'm referring to the values in the data. And whenever you hear me say dimensions, then I'm referring to what, the test in the data, right? So you have two dimensions and what, the measures. So the measures is anything that can be what calculated, right? Anything that can be add, subtract. So we are referring to what numbers, right? You are referring to what the figures or the values or what the numbers in our data. That is what measure. Perfect. Now, since we now understand our data, we know what we have in our data, we can just proceed to, the analysis, or we can just proceed to data cleaning or transformation. Now, if you check the data, right, we have, so select the first one, control, and then your down arrow. You see, we have 9,994 rows, right? We have 9,994 rows. So, in order to check the total columns that we have, select the first column, control, hold control, shift, and then your right arrow. Then you see we have what 20 columns, right? You have 20 columns. Perfect. So this is some of the things that I do whenever I get a data to analyze. Perfect. Now, when you look through the data, management is saying that we should calculate for the total sales by year, the sales by month, by weekday, by weekend, all sort of things, right? But then when you check through, or when you check in the data, we don't have these columns, or we don't have these things in our data set, right? So something like the month, we don't have it. So this one could help us get the month, get the year, get the day, right? Yes. So there are things that we can add to the data so that whenever we are building the dashboard, it will make it very easy for us to get what management is requiring from us. You get that? Yes. So there are so many ways to get that. Right? There are so many ways to get that. Now, the first thing is you can use Excel formulas and what functions to do that. You can use Excel formulas and functions to do that. So we can just extract the month from this column. You can extract the year from this column. You can extract the weekday from this column by just using the weekday function, right? But in this tutorial, I want us to go the professional way, right? I'm not saying using formulas and function is not professional, but then I always prefer to use Power Query. I always prefer to use Power Query whenever I'm cleaning and then transforming my data. All right, so you ask yourself, what is Power Query, right? What is Power Query? And Power Query is a tool in Excel that helps you to connect and then transform and load your data from various sources without what manual work. So Power Query is a powerful tool in Excel that helps you to connect or extract, transform, and then load data from various sources without what doing manual work. So Power Query, simply put, is used for ETL process. It's used in the ETL process. That's the extraction, transformation, and then the loading process. Now, since we know what Power Query is, let us push our data into Power Query, right? Let us push our data into Power Query. Now, what I always do is that I always turn my data into a table form, right? I always turn my data into a table form. So right now the data is in a table form because you can see this one here, table design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it back to normal 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 data and then turn it to a table form. Right. So this is normal data, right? This is a normal data in Excel. It is not in the table form. So now for me to first of all push my data into Power Query, I always have to do what? Convert my data into a table. Convert my data into a table. Now, why do we convert our data into a table? So that in the future, whenever our data grows, uh, the table will capture the new data that will come in. You get that? Yes, the table will capture the new data that will come in. So it is always advisable to turn your Excel data into what? A table before you start with what? The analysis, right? Now there are so many ways to do that. First of all, you can just go to insert, can just be on the insert, and then you see at the tables section here, you see what? Table, right? Or you can also be any part, select any part in your data, right? Anywhere in your data, and then Control T, hold your Control and T, and you see this pop up. It is asking you where is the data for your table. Now Excel has already selected all our data for us, right? It has selected all our data for us. Then it is asking whether your data has headers. So you see our data has headers, right? We have the order ID, order date, ship mode. So these are the headers of our data. So you make sure this one is what checked, right? You make sure this one is what checked, and then you click on what okay. So now this means that our data has been turned into what a table. So whenever you see this table design, it means the data has been what converted into a table. Now I'm not a fan of this color, right? I'm not a fan. So I will turn. Let's do something like this or this. No, this one doesn't look good. All right, so let's go with this, right? Let's clear all the colors, right? So yes, our table or our data now is in a table form, right? Our data now is in a table form. Now, since our data is in a table form, we can just push it to Power Query for what the data cleaning and what the transformation or the preparation. So, in order to push your data to Power Query, right? In order to push your data to Power Query, just go to Data, right? Be on the Data tab here. So, on the Data tab, you see from text, from web, from table and range. So there are so many sources that you can, put your data from, right? Or extract your data from. So this is not a Power Query video. I'll make a separate video about Power Query so that you get to understand all the advanced features of Power Query, right? But for now, we are just going to, import or push our data from what table from table or range, right? So this is the data. Be on the data tab and then just select transform data. Sorry, just select from table or range, right? So just click on that. When you click on from table or range, Excel will process and then you'll be presented with what Power Query editor. So now this is the Power Query editor. This is the Power Query editor. So now that we are in Power Query, let us just explore some things here. So we have the Home tab, we have the Transform tab, we have the Add Column tab, and then we have what the View tab. So when you first push or load your data into Power Query, you're not going to get this valid error and then empty here, right? You're not going to get it. Now you're not getting it because your column quality is what turned off, right? Your column quality is turned off. Now, in order to get that, I will recommend that you always turn it on. Now, the reason why you have to always turn it on is that you see this one, whenever there is an error in your column, right? Whenever there is an error in your column, it will be you will detect it here. Right. So now when you check here, it is saying 100% valid. All the columns are 100% valid. So in a case or in a situation where your data or your column is the valid is maybe 90 or 99 or less than 100, it means that there is what a mistake or an error in your column. So you would have to what check that, right? Perfect. Now don't worry about the transformer in the add column. We are going to explore that uh, in the coming minutes, right? So the first thing that I do when I push my data into Power Query is I just rename it. So you see now it is saying table one. It is saying table one. You can just double click on it and then rename it, or you can just come to the query settings. Then you see table one here. Select everything and then rename it to transformed data and then hit enter. Perfect. Now we have renamed our data. So you see now instead of table one, it is saying transformed data. Perfect. Now the next step I recommend you do is you check the data types, right? You check the data types. Now, how do you check the data type? Now you see this one is the row ID, and then the details or the data in the row, sorry, in the column is what numbers. So you have to also make sure that the data type will be what number. So this data type is very, very critical when it comes to uh, whenever we are building the dashboard, right? So if you don't have the proper data type, Excel, you will face some challenges whenever you are trying to build the dashboard, right? So it is advisable that you check the data type, you check everything here before you load it back to the normal Excel worksheet. So now this data type is in numbers, right? A whole number. So the data in the column is what is a whole number. So the data type is what a whole number. So do you see that? Yes. So that is that. Now this is what a test. So you see the data type here is also what a test ABC. Do you see that? Perfect. Now when you come here, the order date, we don't want to get the time. We only want the date, right? But when you check here, you see that we have date and time in the same column. Do you get that? So what we can do is just to change the data type, right? It's just to change the data type. So just come at the right corner here, sorry, left corner here. Just click on this icon, and then you see now it is what time and date and time. Let's change it to only what date. Then you see that you get this. Let's just click on what add new step. So when you click on add new step, you see now we only have the date, right? We only have the date in our column. Now, when you come here, when you come to the applied steps, so let's say you did something and then you want to go back and then redo it, right? You want to go back and then redo it. So instead of just pressing Control Z, you can just come here, the applied steps, and then all the steps, all the changes you have made to your data will be shown here, right? So assuming we want to now show the time and then the date, so you can just click on what the times here or the cancel icon here. So when I click on cancel, you see now we are back to the date and time, right? So I'll change it to date, and then I'll add step so that the step will be added here. So this one you can also double click and then rename it. So when you double click or right click rather, so you right click and then you go to rename. Now we can rename it to something that you remember whenever we come to the steps. So when we have large data sets and then we are doing large or we are doing more of data cleaning, the applied steps here will be so many that it will be very difficult for you to detect the step that you want to change. Do you get that? So it is somehow advisable. If you are going to see it, that's fine. But then if you are not going to see it, just rename it to maybe order date changed. So you can say that order order date changed, something like this. Do you get it? So that you and then enter. Then you see. So whenever you come here, you know that okay, this is where you change your the data type for the order date. Do you see that? Yes. So let's do same thing for ship date. So just click on the icon here and then change it to what date, right? Change it to date. Then we are good to go. So let's go. And this is test. That's okay. This is test. This is test. This is test. So they are all test. Perfect. Now this is a number. So we are not going to need the postal code, right? You are not going to need the postal code. So I advise you to just right click and then go to remove, right? Right click and then go to remove, right? So just click on remove and then it will be removed and then the step will be applied here. So you see removed columns, right? Perfect. So this is test. That's okay. They are all test. They are all test. Now, when you come to the measures, we have what decimal. The sales is in decimals. That's why I say 1.2. This quantity is in a whole number. Discount is a decimal. Profit is in decimals, and then what the cost of goods sold is also in what decimals. Perfect. Now we are done with what the data type transformation. Now you ask yourself, so assuming you have 50 columns, are you going to do this one by one? Are you going to do this one by one? It is time consuming, right? It is time consuming. So what you have to do is just select a column and then control A. You select a column and then control A. And be on the transform tab, right? Be on the transform tab. And then you see when you come to the any column section, any column, just click on what? Detect data type. So when you click on detect data type, Excel will automatically detect all the data type for you without going through the columns one by one. Right? Perfect. Now, since we've been able to transform our data and then rename and then transform all the data type, we are now going to add the data that we want to include in our dashboard, right? We want to add the details that we want to include in our dashboard. So now we want to add something like the month, right? And then when you check this column, when you check the order date, it contains the date, the month, and then what? The year. Now we want to get them, we want to get that separately in each column. So when you come to the next column, we should have only years. When you come to the next column, we should have only months. When you come to the next column, you should have only days. Do you get that? Yes. So this is what we are going to do for now. Now just select the column, right? Click on the order date to select the all the columns or the entire column. Now, let's now look at the difference between the transform and then the add column tab. Now, I want to add another column to my data, right? I want to add another column to my data. So I'll just be on what? The add column tab. Now, in the case where I want to transform my data, so when you are on the transform, it means that the existing column, right? You want to transform the existing column, or you want to override the existing column. Do you get that? Yes. You want to override the existing column. So when you are on the transform and then you make any changes, this column, the entire column will change without adding any column to the data, right? But in this case, we want to add a column to the data. So we will be on the add column, right? Whilst the other date is selected, we'll be on the add column. And then on the add column, just come to the last part here. You see from date and time, from date and time. So just click on the drop down under the date, click on the drop down under the date. And what we want to do is extract, first of all, the month from this date, right? The month from this date or this column. So just hover on month. And then when you hover on the month, just come down and then you see name of month, name of month. Just click on name of month. And then when you scroll to the last part here, you see another data or another column has been added whilst maintaining the other date column. Do you see that? Whilst maintaining the other date column in our data. So this is the new data or the new column that has been added. Right? You can just double click and then rename it to anything that you want. So we can say month and then enter. So do you get that? Perfect. Now, per the analysis that I want to make, I don't want to get the full name of the month. I don't want to get the full name of the month. I want to shorten it. So if it is December, I want to get only the first three characters. So it will be something like DCE. If it is November, I want to get the first three characters. It will be NOV. October, first three characters, OCT. Do you get that? So how can we do that? Now, this is where the transform becomes useful because we want to transform this data, right? We don't want to get a separate column for the shortened month, right? We don't want to get a separate column for the shortened month. So we transform the existing data. So in order to do that, make sure you come to the transform tab here, and then under the test column, make sure you click on what? The drop down under extract, right? Click on extract here. Then you see all these things here. What we are interested in is the first three characters, right? So you just click on first characters. When you click on first characters, you'll be presented with this, dialogue, right? You will be presented with this. So Excel is saying that extract first characters and then enter how many characters or starting characters to keep. So we are saying we want to keep the first three characters, right? So just enter three here and click on what? Okay. And then now you see this one. We didn't add another column, we just transformed the existing column. Do you get that? So now we have November shorten, October shorten, December, May, everything is what? Shorten. This is what you want, right? Perfect. Now we also have to add the month number, right? You have to add the month number. So what we are going to do is come back here, select the order date, select the order date. This one we are adding the column, so you'll be on what? Add column, right? You'll be on add column. Then when you are on the add column, the same process. Come to from date and time, and then click on the drop down under the date, hover on the month, and then click on the first one saying month. So this one will extract the month number, right? So this is what the month name, and then this is what the month number. So this one should be something like 1 to 12, right? 1 to 12. Do you see it? So from 1 to 12, that is perfect. Now, the idea behind this, or the reason why we are doing or we are extracting the month number from the month or the order date, is that when we go to the dashboard and then we are trying to represent or show or display the total sales by month. So we have to get something like January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, up to December. It shouldn't be January and then it shift to March and then February, and then you get that. We want it to be 1 to 12. That's why we are extracting the month, so that we will use the month number here to sort this month. So don't worry about that. When we get to the dashboard, you understand what I'm trying to say. Now, this one, let us double click and then change it to what? From month to what? Month number, and then hit enter. So this is the month, and then this is what? The month number. Perfect. Now, let us extract the days from this order date. So you make sure you select the order date. This one, we want to add a column. So you come to what? Add column. Same process from date and time. Click on the date. Then this one, we are not adding month, we are adding what? Day, right? We are adding what? Day. So just hover on the day and then go to the down part, and then you see name of day. Name of day. So click on the name of day. Click on the name of day. And then when you scroll to this part, the last part, you see you have the day name here, right? At first, it wasn't part, or it wasn't in our data, but then we've been able to extract it from what? The order date. Now, the same thing, I don't want to see the full name of the date, right? I don't want to see the full name of the date. So we are going to go through the same process as this one. So in this case, I want you to pause the video, and then try and then transform this to get only the first three characters, right? As we did to the month. So I'm watching you. Just pause the video. Pause the video. Yes, I'm talking to you. Pause the video now, and then do it. Perfect. I know you're able to get it right. Congratulations. And if you couldn't do that too, don't worry. Don't worry. We are just starting out, so everything will be fine. Okay. Perfect. Now, the same thing, just select the column that we want to transform, right? Select the column. And then this one, we are not adding another column. We want to transform this or override this column, right? So just be on transform. So be on transform. Then on transform, come to the test column, right? Come to the test column. Click on extract. Click on the drop down, and then click on what? First characters. First characters. So when you click on first characters, you'll be presented, or you'll be presented with this dialog or this drop down here. So just type 3. So because it is asking enter how many starting characters to keep. So you want to keep the first 3 characters. So if it is Monday, we'll get something like MON. If it is Tuesday, we'll get something like TUE. Do you get that? Yes. So the first 3 characters, and then hit what? Okay. Now we get that one here, right? That's the what? The day name. Perfect. Perfect. All right. So now let's go to the years. Right, let's extract the years. Sorry. Let's extract the years from the order date. So mind you, everything that we are doing, we are basing it on what, or we are extracting it from what? The order date, right? Because it is ideal, or it is advisable to make our analysis using the order date, because we don't want to concentrate on the date or the day that we are shipping the product to the customer, right? We want to concentrate on the day that the customer ordered for the product. Perfect. I know you understand. Now select the order date, come to add column, because we are adding another column, right? We are extracting the year from this column. So come to add column, come to the same process, come to from date and time, click on the drop down here, then you see year. So hover on the year and then just click on what? Year. And then you see the year has been what? Extracted. So we have a month you have a column representing the year, you have a column representing the day, you have the column representing what? The month. So this is what we are trying to get, right? Perfect. Now, in the dashboard request, or in the problem that management is facing, or in the problem that the business is facing, they want to see or get to know which of the week type are, or which of the week type are they getting more sales? So are they getting sales on weekdays or on weekends? Are they getting more sales on weekdays or on weekends? Now, when you check or when you go through the data, we don't have any column or any part saying weekday or week type. You get that? We don't have any part saying weekday or week type. So now, what we are going to do is we are going to this number, this what do you call it? This day, right? This day we are going to, instead of Monday, we are going to give it 1, Tuesday 2, Wednesday 3, Friday, Thursday 4, Friday 5, Saturday 6, Sunday 0. Do you get it? Yeah, so that you'll be able to use that or those numbers to make the analysis or transform whether it is weekday or weekend. Do you get that? Yes. So let's do that now. Select what do you call it? Select the day name. Is it the day name? All right, so select the day name and then come to add column, right? Select the day name and come to add column. So when you select the day name as this, come to add column and then click on what? Conditional column, right? Conditional column. Now, click on the conditional column. When you click on conditional column, so the conditional column is same as using the if function, right? It's the same as using the if function. But this one, we are presented with what? A dialogue, right? Instead of writing the formula or the function step by step, we are presented with what? A dialogue. That will make it very easy for us to, use the if function. This is one of the reasons why I mostly prefer to use Power Query in cleaning or transforming my data, right? Good. Now, this one is saying new column name. So what do you want the column name to be? So we want to say week type. So what is the week type? Is it a weekday or is it a weekend? You get that? Perfect. Now, when you come here, it is saying if the column name, which column name are we going to use? So click on the drop down, scroll down, and then you see uh okay, my bad, my bad. First of all, we have to extract the number, right? We have to get the number from this before we move on, right? Before we move on. So what we have to do is come to the order date, right? Select the order date. This is the order date. Select the order date, and then on the add column, right? On the add column, come to from date and time. So from date and time, click on the date and time, and then when you come to the day, right? When you come to the day, when you hover on the day, select day. Now, when you select day, oh, okay, my bad. No, it's not day, rather, it's not day. So let's cancel that. Let's cancel that and go back and select the column. This ship date, order date, be on the add column, same process from date and time. Click on the drop down and then day. So yes, it will be day of week, right? It will be day of week. So we are getting something like from maybe 1 to 7 or 0 to 6, right? So let's click that and see. Perfect, perfect. This is what we want to get. So 0 to 6, 0 to 6. Now, what 0 means what? So what is 0? So 0 is what? Representing what? Sunday, right? So anytime you see Sunday, it is represented by what? 0. And then anytime you see Saturday, it is represented by what? 6. You get that? So 1 to 5 is what? Monday to Friday. So now, since we have this, we can start with what? Whether it is a weekend or whether it's what? A weekday, right? So just select the day of week, select this column, and then on the add column tab, or on yes, on the add column tab, just click on what? Conditional column. Click on conditional column. So click on conditional column, and then we are represented with the same thing. So let's rename it to week type, right? And then what we are saying here is that if the week type or the day of week, if the day of week is equal to 0. Now, what we are telling Excel is that Excel, check if the day of week. Now, what is the day of week? The day of week is what? This column, right? So we are saying that if this column is equal to 0, when you check this column and then you see 0 in a row, now if it is 0, give us what? Weekend, right? If it is zero, give us weekend because zero means what? Sunday. Sunday is what? Weekend. I don't know where you are watching the video from, but in my country, Sunday is what? Saturday and Sunday is what? Our weekends, right? Perfect. Now, let's add another clause. So just click on what? Add clause. And when you click on add clause, we are also saying that the same thing. If the day of the week, right? The day of the week, this column, right? This column is equal to 6, right? Same thing, give us what? Weekend. So if it is 0, give us weekend. If it is 6, give us weekend. Then anything aside 0 and 6, give us what? Weekday, right? So now we are not adding another clause here. We are writing the what? The else here. So we are saying if the day of the week equals to 0, give us weekend. Else if the day of the week equals 6, give us weekend. Now else, so if you check and then you don't see these two conditions, right? You don't see these two conditions, give us what? Weekday. So it will be like 1 to 5 is what? Weekday. So that's Monday to Friday. I believe with this explanation you understand it very well. So just click on OK, and then a new column will be added here. So now if it is 2, it is what? Weekday, because 2 is what? Tuesday. Tuesday is weekday. But then if it is 0, 0 is what? Sunday. Now, if it is Sunday, it is what? Weekend. If it is Sunday, it is what? Weekend. If it is Sunday, it is what? Weekend. So it means we are getting it right. Perfect. Now let's change the data type here. Let's change the data type. So just click on this one and then let's change it to what? Test. Let's change it to what? Test. Perfect. Now we are done. We are done with transforming and then cleaning our data, right? We are done. So since we are done with transforming and cleaning the data, we have to exit Power Query so that we will go back to our normal worksheet, Excel worksheet, and we start with what? The analysis. Now, in order to go back to Power Query, you don't just exit, right? You don't just close from here. What you do is just you come to the home tab, right? You come to the home tab and then under close section here, under the close section here, click on the drop down and then you will get close and load to. Now, we are not seeing close and load to, right? You are not seeing close and load to. In your case, you will see the two being active, right? You see the two being active. So what close and load to does is that the close and load to will load it back to the normal Excel worksheet. So you will see the data in your worksheet, right? But then in the close and load to will create a data model, right? It will create a data model that where the data, your data will be stored in a data model, right? Now, the reason why we are using close and load to here is that our data is very small, right? Now 9,000 rows is very small, but in some cases you might get data set that contains like 5 million, 10 million rows. Now, normal Excel worksheet will able to capture or contain only 1 point something million, right? So when you have like 5 million rows here, closing it and loading it to Excel directly, closing it, choosing this one, choosing close and load, will load it directly to Excel. But then because the data set is more than 1 million, it will break. You get it? It will break. So when you have more rules, like maybe 1 million, 2 million, thereabout, we just do what? Close and load to. Then we will load it to our data model, right? So don't worry about the data model for now. In the future, we are going to explore all these things, right? So for now, just click on what? Close and load, and then you will be loaded back to what? Your Excel worksheet. So it is loading. You see another sheet will be created for us here, right? Another sheet will be created for us here. Perfect. Now do you see it? We have what? The transform data, and then it is loading. Perfect. Now, this is what the data that has been transformed. This was the normal or original data. So I will shift it here. And this is what? The transformed data. Now, in a case where let's say we made a mistake and then we want to go back to Power Query and do the editing, we just have to come here, hover on this one, right? When you hover on this, you see you get this one, you can edit. Now, assuming you're not seeing this, right? Assuming you exited it and then you are not seeing it, what you can do is just come to data and then select queries and connections. Then when you click on that, you see this, right? So you can hover on it and then go to edit, or you can just double click and then it will load you back to Power Query. So this is this. Now, as I already said, I'm not a fan of this these colors, right? So I'm just going to select any part and then clear the colors. So something like this one is not good. Something like this. Okay, let's go with this one, right? Let's go with this one. So now we've successfully cleaned and transformed our data, and then our data is ready for analysis. All right. Now that we have our transformed data, it is now time for us to start with the analysis. Now, to start with the analysis, we are going to use a tool called pivot table. We're going to use a tool called pivot table. Now, pivot table is a powerful data analysis tool that summarizes large data sets, allowing you to group, count, sum, or average your data without writing complex formulas or functions. So now, instead of we coming here, let me demonstrate this one to you. Instead of you coming here and then doing something like sum, writing a sum function, and then summing all the profit, right? All the profit, summing all the profit, then let's to get the total profit here. To get the total profit here, right? The pivot table helps us to easily do that, right? It helps us to easily do that. So now we are not going to use formulas and functions to do this, but then let's use pivot table, right? We are going to use pivot table to do that. Now, when you check here, you will see all the data that we added in Power Query, right? Now, you see this from here to this place wasn't part in our data, right? It wasn't part in our data, but then we've been able to use Power Query to add these details or this data to our data set, right? Perfect. Now, in order to insert a pivot table, there are so many ways. As in, there are so many ways in Excel, right? There are so many ways in Microsoft Excel. Now, to insert a pivot table, first of all, you can go to insert, and then on the insert tab, you can just click on what? The first thing here, you can just click on it, pivot table, and then a new pivot table will be inserted. Or you can also be on what? The data table, sorry, the table design, right? You can be on the table design. And when you come to the tools section, you see summarize value, summarize with pivot table, right? Summarize with pivot table. Both process works the same way. Both process works the same way. Let me go to insert and then insert a pivot table. Just click on the pivot table. Now, when you click on the pivot table, you'll be presented with this create pivot table dialog box right here. Now, it is asking us to choose the data that you need or that you want to analyze. Now, Excel, in its right senses, has been able to detect our data, right? Where our data starts and then where our data ends. So now, when you scroll down here, you see the dotted line here. It means that Excel has been able to detect where our data ends, right? Perfect. Now, so the name that we gave in Power Query is what is here, right? Perfect. Now, skip the use an external data source and then skip the use this worksheets data model. As I said earlier on, we are going to explore data models, data relationship, everything in our future videos, right? Perfect. So now it is saying choose where you want the pivot table report to be placed. Now we have two options to first of all insert the pivot table in a new worksheet or insert the pivot table in an existing worksheet. So when you select an existing worksheet, you'll be required to select where you want the pivot table to be. So assuming I select the existing worksheet, I can just come here, select this part, and then the pivot table will be added here. But then I don't want to insert the pivot table on the same worksheet as my data because I will be just dragging and then dragging, like scrolling a whole lot. I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to do that. So I always select what new worksheet. So Excel will just create a new worksheet for me. So now make sure this thing is what unchecked. Don't check it because we don't have any data model. We don't have any data model, right? So as I said, we are going to explore all these things in the future. Perfect. So just select new worksheet and then click on what? Okay. Now a new worksheet has been what added. Now just drag it here, and then double click and then rename it to what? Analysis. I always want to make it analysis so that whoever comes to whoever open the workbook will know that okay, this is our sales data, this is our transformed data, and then this is what our analysis what sheet. Perfect. Now let me insert a column here. So this is not compulsory, right? But I just want to have some spaces here. Right. So if you are wondering how I did it, I just selected the column and then hold my control shift key and then the plus, control shift plus. All right, so now let's select the pivot table. So now you see when I select outside the pivot table, I don't see the pivot table field. But then when I select inside, then I'll see the field here, right? So assuming now when you open pivot table, when you insert a pivot table at first, this is how it is going to be, right? You're going to see it like this. This is how yours is going to be, right? This is how yours is going to be. But then I always prefer to drag it around, right? Drag it and then place it here. And then also change the format to, so you click on the settings icon and then choose the second one. Because I just want to see all the table headers at a glance, right? Perfect. Now you will be asking yourself, what the hell is going on here? Where did you get all these things? So all these things here is from what? Our table headers, right? So from the row ID through to what? The week type. So when you come here, you see the row ID through to what? The week type. So that is that. So we have all our headers here, right? We have all our headers here. Now, assuming you mistakenly cancelled this, when you select this, you are not going to see it again. Right? So how can you turn it back? How can you get it back? So you select where the pivot table is. First of all, you can go to pivot table analyze, right? So when you insert a pivot table, we are going to get two additional tabs. So the pivot table analyze and then the design. So anything about the pivot table will be done on these two tabs, right? Anything about the pivot table will be done on these two tabs. So now to get the pivot table field back, select the pivot table analyze and then click on what? Field list. And you see it. Or when you cancel it, you can just select the pivot table, right click, and then you see what? Show field list here. So just click it and then you see it back here. Now we are good to go. We can start with the analysis. So what management first of all wants to get is what? The KPIs. So let me bring in the request from management, or the problem statement from management, so that you can read. So now key areas of focus. It is saying that key performance indicators. So provide detailed insight into the company's major performance metrics. Now you ask yourself, because management didn't say fine for the total cost, total sales, total discount, blah blah blah. You get that? Yes. But then as an analyst, as a data analyst, what you have to do is you think like the business owner, right? You think like the business owner. Now, thinking like the business owner, I mean, you place yourself in the shoes of the business owner, and then you ask yourself, so in case, or if I'm the business owner, what are some of the things that I might be interested, right? So first of all, to get the KPIs, I might be interested in what? The sales that we are making, right? The profit that we are getting, right? Our total cost, is it increasing or decreasing? Our discount, do you get that? So these are some of the things that you will be interested in, as if you are the business owner, right? Yes, so management didn't say calculate for total sales, blah blah blah. But you have to, I mean, as I said, position yourself in the shoes of what? The business owner. Okay, so now first of all, let's get the KPIs done. So we are going to get the total sales. Now, as I said, instead of using formulas and function, doing equal to sum and then selecting a column and blah blah blah, it is a long process, right? So Pivot table is what is just what drag and drop. Now, before we start with the total sales, pivot table has what? Four fields, right? It has four fields: the filter, the rows, the columns, and what? The values. The filter, the rows, and then the column take what? Dimensions, right? It takes what? The dimension. Now, the dimension, I mean the test, right? I mean the test. And then the value take what? The measure, the what? The values, as rightly indicated here, values. So anything value should be placed here, and then anything text or string should be placed here. Right now, because our sales is what? A value or a number, we will have to bring it here. Now, how do we do that? First of all, you can just check this one. So you see, when you check it, you see automatically Excel know that it is a number, so it will place it here, right? So if you want to cancel something, just hold it and then drag it outside, right? Drag it outside. Now we can also select it and then drag this one inside, right? So when you release it, you see the total sales here. So you see, this is very easy, right? We didn't do any calculation, we didn't do any uh we didn't write any function. We just had to what? Drag it and then drop it here. So this is what the beauty of what? uh Pivot table. This is what the beauty of pivot table. Now it is saying sum of sales. Don't worry, we are going to edit both the title and then what? Format the numbers. All right. So now the second thing that we will be interested in is what? The quantity. How much are we selling, or how many uh, products are we selling? Right. So this is the quantity. Just drag it here because it is a number. You can just drag it here. So assuming I mistakenly place the quantity here, do you see what we are getting? We are getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is, I mean, breaking the sales into quantity, right? Or yes, into quantity. This is not what we want. We want to get the total quantity. So this is what? The total quantity. Now the third thing that we want to get is what? The cost, our total cost. So you see, cost of goods sold, just drag it and then place it under the cost, the total quantity here. Then you get the cost. Then you might, or you will also be interested in what? The total profit. Let's go with profit, drag it down here. You can place it inside here, right? And then you see the profit will be here. And I prefer it to be here. Perfect. And then what we will be also interested in is what? The delivery days. On average, how many days are we taking to deliver or ship the product to our customers, right? But then when you check the headings here, right, or you check the data here, we don't have anything relating to delivery, right? What we have here is what? The ship date, right? What you have here is the ship date. But then with the ship date, we can't let's drag the ship date and see the ceiling number we are going to get. We're going to get the total. So because this is a test and then we are dragging the test into the values section, it will not sound but rather count the test, right? So that's why we are seeing what? Count of ship date. But we don't want it like this. We want to get the average ship date. So on average, how many days it is are we taking to ship or deliver the product to the customers, right? Now, since we don't have anything relating to the ship date, now what do you think? I want you to pause the video and think about this. How can we do that? We have the ship date, we have the order date. How can we do that? Now, let's come back to our transform data, right? Let's come back to our transform data. And I want to insert a column here, right? I want to insert another column here. So just click on the column here, right click, and then go to what? Insert. Okay, let me select this one rather. The month, select the month, right click, and then go to what? Insert. Now, I'm going to rename this to what? Delivery days. Let's expand the column. Perfect. Now, what can we do? What can we do? So check here. We have the order date, we have the ship date. So it means that this is the date that the customer ordered for the product. Then this is the date that we shipped the product to the customer, right? So in order to get the days that it took, you can just do this minus this, right? So let's come here and let me demonstrate this one to you. So inside there, no, inside the here the delivery days, we'll just write a simple formula equal to, just scroll to this part, the ship date, right? Ship date minus what? The order date, and then hit what? Enter. Now when you hit enter, you are getting what? 3. So it means that this what do you call it? This product, right? This product, it took us 3 days, right? This product, uh bush or bash book collection bookcase, whatever, right? It took us 3 days to deliver the product to the customer, right? So we don't have to come here and then write all the formulas again. So what we can do is just select the cell, shift your bring your cursor to this part, to this down part, make sure it turns to this plus, then hit what? Double click to, autofill everything for you, right? To autofill everything for you. So now we have what? The days that it is taking us to ship our product to the customers, right? Perfect. Now we can now get the average. On average, how many days are we taking to ship the product or deliver the product to the customers? But now when you check here, the new column that we have inserted is not showing here, right? For us to make it show, we just have to go to pivot table analyze, or we can go to data, right? Anything works, and then go to what? Refresh. When you click refresh, you see the new column will be here, right? The new column will be here. So now let's drag the delivery days here. Then now this is what we are getting, right? This is what we are getting because it is a number. Excel is what? Summing all the numbers, right? Excel is what? Summing all the numbers. We don't want it to be summed, right? You don't want the number to be summed. What we want it to be is what? Average. We want the average. So you just have to select it, right? Click and then what? Show values by. Show values by what? Then we select what? Now it is now on what? Sum. We will select what? The average. Now we are getting these decimal places. Go to be on the home tab and then clear all the decimal places. Now, on the average, it is taking us what? 4 days over the years, right? On average, it is taking us 4 days to ship our product to the customers. Now, the last thing that we will be interested in is what? The discount, the amount of money that we are, giving out to customers, or the amount of discount that we are giving to customers. Now, let's clear the decimal, please. Perfect. Now, this doesn't look good, right? It doesn't look good at all. So what we can do is we can just double click and then rename this one to what? Total sales, right? Then this one will be what? Renamed. The same thing, double click. Or you can do this in the formula bar, right? Get total quantity. This one too, the same thing. Total cost, or yes, let's do it. Total cost. Okay. Then this one is what? Sum of profit. You want to get what? Total profit, right? So this is what our KPIs. Total profit. Okay. This one is what? Average delivery days. We don't want the average to be full, right? We don't want it to spell in full. So we will do AVG dot delivery days, average delivery days. Okay. Then we are good to go. And then the discount, we'll do it what? Total, sorry, total what? Discount. Perfect. Now we are good to go. Now I'm not a fan of this color. So what I'll do is, let me cancel this. What I'll do is I'll select any part, the pivot table, go to design, right? Go to design, click on the drop down here and then select this color, right? Select this color. Perfect. Now, what can we do here? Now, this doesn't look good, right? This doesn't look good. The numbers doesn't look good. Right? So let's first of all clear the decimal point, right? Clear the decimal point. Now, this is a currency. This is currency. This is currency. This is currency, and then this is currency, right? No, this is a number, right? It's a number. It's not a currency. Total quantity is a number. So let's select all the currencies, right? So select total sales, total cost, total profit, and then total discount. What we are going to do is, whilst this thing is selected, just hit Control 1 to get the format cells pane here. So now just come to custom, and then you can select this fourth one here, right? You can select this fourth one here, or you can just clear everything and then do it yourself. So hash, comma, hash 0, right? Hash, comma, hash 0. And because it is a currency, I'll introduce what the dollar sign, because the data is from what the data is from the United States, right? Perfect. So now we have this one here. So it will be dollar sign hash, comma, hash 0, and hit what? Okay. And now you see that this one is much more readable, right? This is what much more readable. Perfect. Now this one we just have to do what? Bring the comma separator and clear the decimal point. So we have what? 37,000. Now this one we want to get something like 4 days. So only the four doesn't, sound, right, or sound professional, or it doesn't really explain what we are getting here, right? So what we can do is select the four, right, and then Control 1, come to custom, and then where the 0 is, right, just space. So let me clear the 0 and then do just 0 space quotation. So it will be days and then end the quotation, right? It will be days and then end the quotation. So what I'm doing here is 0 space quotation, and then I added days and then closed the quotation. And then okay. So now you see this one is what? 4 days, right? 4 days. Perfect. This is what we want to get. And then this is what you've gotten. So now that we have the KPIs, what we are going to do is we are going to rename or name this one to what? KPIs, right? Then let's give it a different color, something like an orange color. Let's bold it and then let's make the font white, right? Now, the reason why I always do this is because whenever a third party or a different person wants to continue your analysis, right? Or whenever you take your analysis in the future, you know that okay, this one represents what? The KPIs. Now, let us rename the pivot table itself. So this is one pivot table that we have created. Now let us select the pivot table, go to pivot table, analyze, and then when you come to the first section here, pivot table name, you see the name is what? Pivot table 1. It doesn't sound well. Now we always rename the pivot table so that in the future, whenever we are inserting a slicer, it will be very easy for us to differentiate or know the pivot table to connect with the slicer. Yes, so in the future you are going to understand what I'm trying to say. All right, so let's name this one to KPIs and then enter. So now this uh, pivot table has been named to what? Has been named as what? KPIs. Perfect. Now, since we have our pivot table, we have the KPIs for the pivot table. It is now time for us to, sorry, it is now time for us to design our dashboard, right? It is now time for us to design our dashboard. So I'll insert a new worksheet here or a new sheet and then rename this one to what? Dashboard. Rename this one to dashboard. Now, what I normally do is I clear all the grid lines, right? I clear all the grid lines. So just clear the grid lines. So if you want to clear the grid lines, just come to view, right? Come to view, and then on the view tab, come to the show section here. Come to the show section and then uncheck the grid lines here, right? Uncheck the grid lines here. You can also uncheck the numbers here so that you get a nice pane to work with, right? Get a nice pane to work with. So now we don't have the formula bar, we don't have the grid lines, we don't have the headings, right? Don't worry, we are going to be turning it off, on and off, on and off. All right. Now the first thing that we have to do is, all right, let me bring the headlines, all right? For now. so that you know the rows and then the columns and then the rows. So what I'm going to do is just come here, select everything here, right? Select this part, or you can just do Control A to select everything. Now we want to, you see this one is white, the canvas, right? The dashboard, the background is white. I don't want it to be white. I just want to just give it a dark, a small dark color, right? Just select this part or Control A to select the background. Be on the home tab, right? On the home tab, click on the format paint here and then choose something like 5% darker, right? Darker 5%. So select this one. Now it is no more white. It has been darkened a little bit, right? Perfect. Now we are just going to design a very simple dashboard. We're going to design a very simple dashboard. So the next step is I'll just go to insert illustrations and shapes, right? Click on the drop down and then select this shape, this rectangle shape. So select the shape and I'll draw the shape here, draw the shape and then place it here. Now, for us to be on the same page, first of all, I'll just do Control 1, right? Control 1. Whilst this shape is selected, Control 1 to remove the line, right? You see, we have solid line. Now, when you deselect it, you see we have some black line outside the shape. I don't want to see the black line. So select the shape and then when you expand the line, go to no line to remove the line, right? Perfect. Now there's no line outside. Now select the shape. When you select the shape, come here to shape format, right? When you select the shape, another tab will be added here. Come to shape format. For us to be on the same page, let's use same numbers, right? Although our we might have different screen sizes, but let's use same numbers so that we can be on the same page. But then if you want to use a different number, why not? You are good to go. So the height I'm going to use is 7.006, right? The height I'm going to use is 7.06, and then the width will be 0.31. 0.31. So this is what I've gotten here. So I'll select this one, Control 1, expand the fill, and then under solid color, under solid fill, yes, come to color, and then you see this paint here. Click on the drop down and then select what? White color. So this is what we are trying to. This is a very simple dashboard, right? A very simple dashboard. Perfect. Now let us get the title of the dashboard. Let us get the title of the dashboard. So what we can do is just go to insert and then come to the last section here. Click on the text and then select what? Text box. Whilst what? On the insert tab. So just select text box and then you drag the text box, something like this. It will be fine. Perfect. And then let's type sales performance dashboard. Perfect. So this is what we want to get, right? This is what we want to get. Now select the shape like this so that you can move it around, right? Select it like this. First of all, Control 1, hit Control 1. Then let's remove the line outside the shape, and then let's remove the fill. See, the background for the text box is white. Now, when you click or when you select no fill, we are going to get the same background as our overall background here. You get it? So when I select no fill, you see now we have the same background as this one, right? Perfect. Now let's select this, then move it around to this part. It is too small. So what we are going to do is let's exit, come here, show tabs, and then inside the home tab or on the home tab, let's increase the size to maybe 16. Yes, to 16. Let's make it top. Perfect. Let's make it left align. All right. So this is what we want to get. Right. This is what we want to get. Let me give a full. Perfect. This is what we want to get. Now let us bring the KPI cards. Right. Let's bring the KPI card so that we will represent our numbers on the KPI cards. So what we do is go to insert, then illustrations. Under illustration, click on what? Shapes. Then this time around, we are not going for the rectangle, but then we are going for what? The rectangle, rounded corners. This one, rectangle, rounded corners. So just select this one and then just drag it. Forget about the size for now. Drag it. Now, when you check here, we have some orange button here, right? You have some orange button here. This one controls what? The roundness of what? The shape, right? We can make it rectangle, we can make it something like this, right? So now let's make sure you control the shape, right? So something like this will be good for us. Something like this will be good for us. So now let's place it here. Forget about the size for now. You're going to do it. All right. Now control one on your keyboard. Now let's remove the line. Let's remove the line, and then under solid fill, select the color. Click on the drop down, and then the color that we are going to use is not here, right? So now we can use any color that we want. Can use any color here, but I have a custom color I want us to use. So now click on more colors. Click on more colors. Now when you click on more colors, you come here, toggle to or change it to custom, right? Change it to custom. Now we are going to use a custom code. So if you are using a hex code, I will show you the hex code. And then if you are using the RGB, that's the red, green, blue, I'll show you the code. So now the red is what? 33. The red is what? 33. The green is 158. And then the blue is 188. Right? Now the hex code, if you want to use the hex code, is hash 219 EBC. Hash 219 EBC. Then hit what? Okay. And now this is the color that you want, right? Perfect. Now let's control the shape, the size of the shape. Now to control the size of the shape, what we have to do is change it from here. So select the shape and then come to what? Shape format. Come to shape format. And then the last section, you see size. You see size. Now the height, I'm going to do the height, let's see, 0.84. 0.84. Perfect. 0.84. And then the width is going to be 1.88. 1.88. So you see that you've been able to resize it, right? You've been able to resize it. Now, do we go back and then insert another shape for the remaining one? No. Since we have this one, we can just do Control D, right? Control D to duplicate, Control D to duplicate, Control D 6 times, right? 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. 6 times. Make sure there is some spaces here, right? Make sure there is some spaces here. It's very important. Now forget about the spaces between them for now. We are going to work on that. So what we are going to do is select all the shapes. So hold your control key, right? Hold your control key and select all the shapes. Now we want to align them. You see the spaces between them are not equal, right? The spaces between them are not equal. So just click on this one. First of all, let me show you all the tabs so that you see what I'm talking about. Click on this one, go to shape format, right? Go to shape format, and then under the arrange section, click on the drop down and then align, come to align and then click on the drop down and distribute it what? Horizontally. So now you see the spaces between them are what? Equal. Then let's align them bottom so that they will be aligned properly. Perfect. So now we have this shape. Let me hide it again. We have this shape, right? Perfect. Perfect. Now we can bring this one to the down part here. Yes, so this is something that we want to get. Something that you want to get. So just take your time and then make it very nice, right? Make it very nice. Now, let's bring a label, right? So something that will show this is total sales, this is total profit, this is total this is total that, right? So what we do is We don't go and then insert another text box because you already have one text box here that has been edited for us, right? So you select it like this, Control D to duplicate, right? And then bring it here. Then you say total sales, right? So yes, make it small like this, then place it here. Now let's change the color. So we are changing the text color, right? So let's make it something like 5%, right? Yes, so white 5%, and then let's reduce the size to, let's say, 14. Perfect. 14 is nice. All right, so now since we are done, we just have to what? Duplicate for the remaining ones, right? Duplicate for the remaining ones. So duplicate, 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 and then duplicate. All right, so now we can edit this one. You can say total quantity. All right, let's expand this one a bit. Perfect. Let's center it. Perfect. Now let's come here. Let's make it total cost. Let's center it. All right, let's come here. Let's push it here. And then you make it total profit. Perfect. Now let's come here. Let's push this one here. Let's make it, this one will be, I think, average delivery days, right? So let's clear everything and make it AVG, sorry, AVG dot delivery days. Perfect. So this one too, let's bring, sorry, Control Z to go back. Select this one. Let's bring it here. Then total what? Discount. Perfect. Now let's extend this. Perfect. So this is what we've gotten so far, right? This is what we've gotten. So now we want to align them, right? Both at the top or at the bottom. So hold your control and then select everything. Now, if you want to select the shape, make sure you select it so that you'll be able to move it around, right? You'll be able to move it around. So you select it like this, hold your control key and select the remaining ones. Perfect. Now, let's go to shape format. Go to shape format and then at the arrange section, go to align and then let's align it to the bottom so that they will be all be aligned at the bottom here perfectly. Now, let's bring a shape that we can place our icons in, right? Let's bring a shape. So we'll go to insert, illustration, shapes, and then in this shape or with this shape, we want what? The circle. So now this is an oval. When you drag it like this, you see we are not getting a perfect circle. For you to get a perfect circle, make sure you hold your shift key, right? You hold your shift key whilst playing along with what? The size of what? The shape, right? So I think this one is okay for me. Now control one to remove the line and then change the color to what? White. Perfect. So this is what I want. So I'll place it here. Perfect. Control D to paste, to duplicate. Control D again. Control D. Control D. Don't forget about the alignment for now, right? And then Control D. You are good to go. So now we can just select them one by one. Select everything. Hold your control. Select everything. Let's align them to the top, right? Align top. Then you see they are both aligned properly. Now let's go and then bring our icons. Let's go and bring our icons. Now, what we do is just go to insert, go to illustrations. Then this time around, we are not inserting a shape, we are inserting what? Pictures. So click on the drop down from the pictures, right? Then select what? From insert picture from this device. So select this device. All right, so let me go to where my pictures are. Uh, So you see these are the icons, right? So control A to select everything and then hit insert. So now these are all my icons, right? So let's resize them together like this. Perfect. So click anywhere outside the icons and then select them one by one, right? Select them one by one. So now let's do this one for what? The discount. So that anytime someone comes here, he will know that, oh, okay, so this one is discount. So this one is not compulsory, right? But then it makes your dashboard more it makes your dashboard looks more professional, right? So this one too is delivery. So we have a picture of a delivery man. So to represent that, okay, this one is what delivery. It makes the dashboard very nice and professional, right? So this one too is what profit. So we get the profit here. Perfect. Okay. And then we have what total cost. So we are going to use this for the total cost. Let's place it here nicely. All right. And then the total quantity. So this represents quantity, right? This represents quantity. All right. So let's place it here. It's too big. Perfect. And then this is what the total sales. So this one to represent what the sales is too small. Yes, something like this. Perfect. Now you see the dashboard is beginning to take shape, right? It is beginning to take shape. So now we are going to bring our analysis, the numbers, right? We're going to bring the numbers to the dashboard. So what we do is you select a text box, right? This is the text box. You select it like this. Control D to duplicate, Control D to duplicate, and then place it here, right? Now, this is the time for us to bring the formula bar or activate the formula bar. So you go to what view and then click the formula bar. Perfect. Now we could just come here, look at the number, total sales, and then type it here manually. But then we want our dashboard to be very dynamic, right? So that in the future, when we insert a slicer, when we change it, the numbers will also what be changing, right? Yeah. So we want our dashboard to be dynamic. Perfect. So now what we do is, whilst this text box is selected, you see, I'm not selecting it like this, right? I'm selecting it like this, like selecting it like this, so that I'll be able to move it around. Perfect. So select it like this. Go to the formula bar, type equal to. Forget about the things in it, right? Forget about the things in it. Equal to. So this is total sales. We will reference total sales and then hit enter. So this is what total sales. Now let's edit it. Go to home, make it big. I think 16 is okay. Let's change the font to, let's say, white. And let's bold it. So this is what we've gotten, right? Now let's duplicate and do same for total quantity, right? So this one to select it like this, go to the formula bar, equal to, and then let's reference this one here so that anytime these numbers will be changing, the numbers on the dashboard will also change. Do you get that? Yes. So that is that. Let's place this one here. So for now, forget about the formatting for now. Let's duplicate. We are going to uh, format it when we are done with everything here. So this one too is total cost. Let's select the total cost. Then let's duplicate. This is going to be what? Total profit. Let's come here, equal to, then select the total profit. Then duplicate once more. This is what the average delivery days. Let's come here, select the 4 days, equal to, then duplicate once more. And then this is what total discount. So equal to total discount. Perfect. So now you've gotten all the numbers, right? So let me go to the format home, and then I'm going to copy this format and then paste it for the remaining numbers, right? So I'll just be on the home, this brush icon, I'll just double click. That's the format painter, right? So I'll paint it here, paste this here, paste this here, paste this here, and then paste this here. Then to release it, you click on what? Escape. And this one is hidden because the text box is too small, right? Perfect. So this is what you've been able to get right now. This is what you've been able to get right now. Perfect. So for now, let's make sure we arrange this one properly. Okay. All right. Let's arrange them properly. So you make sure, sorry, you take your time and then you do it nicely, right? So this one too is here. Take your time and then do it nicely. Perfect. So now let's select everything and then let's align them properly to the bottom, right? Go to shape, go to align, and then go to what? Bottom. So now this is what we've gotten so far, right? This is what we've gotten. This is what we've gotten. So take your time and then make sure everything looks nice. So that whenever you are presenting this to someone, you look professional. So this is what you've been able to do. Then this is our KPI. So we are done with the first problem, right? We are done with the first problem.